Please join me in hands with a big round of applause for amazing. She is a passionate dancer and calisthenics as well. Presently allotted Indian Revenue Services, Customs and Tax Department. And today, Madam will be giving a session on importance of essay, and as you all know, essay plays a significant role to crack the examination. Madam will be discussing in detail about Civil Service Mains 2024 essay paper. I do not want to take much of your time. Madam, welcome you once again.
Thank you, sir.
And the stage is yours.
Thank you. This would normally be where I introduce myself, but sir has done a good job. The only thing I would like to add here is that when I wrote my mains, it was my first and only mains, I got 129 in essay. Okay? The reason I'm mentioning this fact right now is because I'm going to take an essay class, correct? So whatever I'm telling you, you can take it with a pinch of salt, but it has worked for me. So most likely it might work for you. That's the purpose, okay? How many of you know anything about essay? Idea ellarigu essay? I just want to know what the level of everyone here is. Why essay paper? Essay paper ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕು ನಮಗೆ? There's no wrong answer. I'm just a senior. I'm not here as a teacher. A few months ago I was sitting in your place. ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. So we figured our own way out, alva. So I'm only here to help you out, okay? So I want some answers at least. Why essay paper? Why? Because generally speaking, in all the GS subjects, you have a word limit, right? 150 words, 250 words, 15 to 10 markers. Why 2 essays for entire 3 hours? Any reason? To check your knowledge and how widely you can think about a subject. Good. Checking knowledge can be done in GS also, but what essay paper does for you is that it will help identify the diversity of thought that you have. Very good. Okay. Bere? What else? Okay. Different perspectives regarding same subject and topic. Correct? ಒಂದೇ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದೇ ವಿಷಯನ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಹೇಗೆ ನೀವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. Why would this be important? Why do they want to know all of this? If you have knowledge, it's enough, right? You all are training to be civil servants, correct? So the reason is, you will all be generalists in specified fields, correct? So whenever you are posted in any particular department or any particular position, your job is not to be a technician there, because you will have people around you who will help you technically. You will be a decision maker, alva. To make decisions, only technical knowledge itkond madakagata. That would be difficult, right? You need to have a different perspectives, correct? There's some sort of disaster, you go in with a team, you have to make decisions, correct? Your doctor will tell you one thing, or the soldiers or the help that you have with you will tell you another thing. You have to make decisions on the basis of varied interests, correct? That is why essay paper is there. Why 1500 words? Why the extra long, lengthy space that you have? You will be attending meetings when you become an officer. You need to know what is happening in meetings. Government will release policy documents, correct? Who is writing all of them? Bureaucrats. So your capacity to write a policy document, correct? This is essay, whatever you write in your exam hall will be your policy document to the evaluator, okay? See, these are the different ways I will think about this policy. This is what I think about this policy. That is what you are telling to the evaluator, correct? Iವಾಗ ನೀವೇ policy document ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ, what do you expect? One topic itkondu 5 pages or 5 different perspectives in the one page each. Diversity is important, right? Correct? Nimige artha agtideya whatever I am able to tell? Okay, perfect. So the same thing you have to do here also. They will give you a set of how many topics, how many essay questions are given? 8 questions are given in 2 parts, okay? We'll take a look at it now, okay? So in this session, These are the things that we are going to do, okay? Ee sari 2025 paper bandide alla. We'll take a look at it. How many of you have already taken a look at it? Okay. Okay, a few of you. Okay, good thing I have already copy pasted it. I've made work easy for you. But you can't always be like this. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. We will all take a look together at the essay, at the topics. Let us assume we are sitting in the exam hall. Okay, and I want you to answer. I want you to answer because I want to know nimgella yen ansute anta. Then I can address what is required for you guys. Correct? Okay. So that is one thing. Then we'll practice maybe 1 or 2 essays. Okay, that has come in this year's paper. Okay, because many of you will be writing mains next year, right? How many of you are planning to for 2026 prelims? The rest of you, 2027? 28? You've already given? Okay, okay. So I'm assuming mostly 2026. Okay, fine. So we'll practice maybe 1 or 2 essays because you will also start writing essays, alva. Better start it here when you have someone to help you with. Okay? And then I'll tell you how to score a little more. That if I tell now, it doesn't make sense because yaro band helkondu hogtidare anta ansbodu. Once you put down your own thoughts, pen down your own thoughts, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Okay? So this is the paper. I'm going to give you like 2-3 minutes. Just take a look at it and tell me what you feel. I want at least 2-3 answers. See, I'm not here to just take one class, make all of you listen and leave. I want this to be very interactive. So take a look at the questions. Once the questions alla nodi nimige yen ansute anta you tell me, then we'll talk about it, okay? I want you to feel like you're already in the exam hall. Nimige 8 questions question paper mel kanistide. Now I want you to do 2 things, okay? Number 1, tell me what you feel about the question paper in general. Number 2, tell me what you're feeling. Imagine you're in the exam hall. I want 2-3 real raw thoughts. For example, all of them look similar. Nanigenu thought bartilla blank aagtide. Something like that would be my thought. So I want you to tell me that, what you are feeling. Number 3, I want you to tell me which question you would have picked if you were writing 2025 and why. But for now, I want 1 or 2 answers. What is your first impression about the paper? What do you think?
All look like all are lessons to the life, ma'am. All are similar questions.
Okay, all are similar. All are lessons for life, you want to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Solpa philosophical.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, agreed. Okay.
And I would choose best lessons from best lessons are learned through bitter experiences.
Okay, beautiful. Next, E sectionally.
It is best to see life as a journey, not as a destiny.
Beautiful, very smart. I'll tell you why I think this is smart. We'll do exercises. Very smart. Next, anyone else? Best lessons, you would also go with best lessons? Okay. Okay, muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. Okay, next. First section?
Truth knows no color.
Beautiful, okay. Very nice. Does anyone want to tell me what you feel about the paper? Okay, I'll share with you. When I went to write my mains, I looked at my question paper and nothing made sense. Because essay paper is the first paper when you start writing your mains. Essay is the first paper that you write. So there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of fear and anxiety. Correct? When you read it, you will read the words, you will understand this is English, but beyond that it's very difficult. Okay? So here I just want to highlight mental health is very important. So before the exam, make sure you do a few breathing exercises. Make sure you're very calm whenever you write any exam. Okay? But apart from that, we'll just take a look at the general paper analysis. Okay? More and more, the nature of the paper is coming out as essay as soul of UPSC mains. Now what do I mean by soul of UPSC mains is, Munche, we used to get questions which are topic related. So sometimes there was a topic about governance. There was a topic about feminism. There was a topic about, say, international relations. Alva, particular subject based essays irtittu. So whatever subject knowledge you have in that particular topic or subject, you can write in the essay. Correct? Now what is happening is, could we identify any of those topics as, okay, this is maybe women related, this is maybe healthcare related, any particular boxing that we can do? No. That is why essay has become the soul of UPSC mains, because these questions are there, no? They will tell the examiner how you think and who you are. Correct? We will maybe take 3-4 topics up and we'll see how different people will look at it from different views. Correct? These are so wide to interpret that who you are will come out in the answer. That's why there is a more leaning towards philosophical topics nowadays. Okay? Maybe 5 years ago, 2018, 2017 papers nodidre neevu, you will figure out that topics are particular. At least in section B, section A ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ philosophical ಕೊಟ್ರು. In section B, you would have international relations or women issues or health or governance based topics that you can directly write. But now it's become a little more difficult. Now they are using metaphors. Truth knows no color. Atara, right? We all know what a metaphor is? Beautiful. Okay. And this deeper abstraction. What this leaves is, truth can be interpreted in many ways, correct? Muddy waters. Muddy waters can be interpreted. Muddy waters can be interpreted in many ways. Correct? So you can write a very deep essay also. You can write a very superficial essay also. Understood? You have around 1200 words to write per one essay. Okay? What you are going to do with these 1200 words is up to you. How you will interpret truth is up to you. How you will interpret muddy waters is up to you. I might interpret it differently from my own life and my own experiences and my own thoughts. You will interpret it differently. Maybe someone's a doctor, so avrige health might be a priority. Correct? Muddy waters alli what will they see? What will a doctor see? That the health system is a muddy water, that we should make it better maybe. Got it? Or maybe an engineer will see it differently. Correct? Now, section A and section B nalli, before we used to have section B nalli swalpa solid topics, like I already mentioned, but now both the sections have become more abstract and philosophical. Okay? And this is one of the most important things about an essay. You need to be creative. I'll tell you exactly how, and I'll tell you why I scored around 130, which is a pretty good score, because I was creative and present in the moment in the exam hall. Correct? And I'll tell you why simplicity is important. I'll give you a very complex policy document of 2-3 pages versus a relatively easy to read copy of 5-6 pages, which is easier to read. The simpler one, correct? So simple ag bardu, clean ag artha ago tara bardre, even if it's 5 pages, it's easier to read. Correct? If I give you 1 page of complex writing also, it's relatively difficult to read. Correct? Same goes to the examiner also. Understood? So the examiner will find it easier to go through your essay if your essay is simple. So a lot of people ask me, ma'am, I'm not very comfortable with English, I'm not very good at language, will it be difficult for me? The only thing I'll tell you is, as long as your spellings, basic spellings, grammar is correct, simpler the essay, better it is for you. You don't have to write very complex. In fact, we will suggest people not to write 4-5 sentences. Like, there are some people very intelligent, very smart, they write 4-5 sentences for a single, they write 4-5 lines for a single sentence. Alva? That is very complicated to understand. You don't have to write that. You have to write very simple, very easy to understand language when you're writing your essay. Make sense? Okay. Now, I've already told you most of what the comparative analysis is. I don't want to repeat the same thing again. There's a shift, socio-political irtittu munche. Now it's become a little more abstract and philosophical. Okay? The problem with this idea is that students think, oh, I don't know how to write philosophy-based questions or essays, so it's more difficult anta. But it's actually not very difficult. If you know how to make good use of the content that you have, and if you practice salva swalpa, you will understand that philosophical essays are easier to write. Okay? Now, greater demand for original structuring. This again is what I meant by telling that philosophical essays hengadru interpret madbodu. I'll give you an example of structuring. I was just thinking about the paper. I was looking at the paper also, like you all were, and I saw the topic truth knows no color, and I came up with a very beautiful example. And then when I was reading the paper, right, I was thinking, exam hall naan enadru kutkondu nan talige idu bandidre, I would have definitely written it. Correct? So that is where structuring will come. I'll tell you why structuring is important, okay? You have to write around this year for mains, I think they're given 16 pages per essay. Usually it is 11 to 12 pages. So usually it's 11 to 12 pages. This time it was 16 pages. Okay. So you have to write content for 16 pages. Even if you say you leave 1 or 2 pages in the end, 14 pages ನೀವೇನಾದರೂ ಬರಿಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ it's very natural human tendency to get lost. Correct? I start with history, some sort of introduction, and maybe I like that topic, so I write 3-4 pages about it. Then I have not touched many other aspects of the essay. Correct? That's a very easy thing to do. So what do we do when we take a look at a essay topic, right? We make a structure. Before it was a subject-based paper, right? Now we have, which is your most important, so a lot of people ask me, ma'am, does optional help in essay? Correct? A simple answer would be, you have to write around, let us say average 13 pages, alva? Okay? In 13 pages, maybe your optional will cover 1 or 2 pages. Okay? Maximum. And it should cover 1 or 2 pages maximum. Okay, doesn't matter whichever optional you are from. For example, let us take truth knows no color only. Let us say your optional is PSIR, my optional was PSIR. So I will interpret it from a PSIR perspective. Okay? Maybe someone else with an anthropology optional will interpret it from anthro perspective. But how many pages? 1 or 2 pages? Alva? So you have a strength no matter what your optional subject is. Okay? But what is a subject that is actually useful for essay right now? Ethics. Whatever examples, whatever philosophy, whatever theory you collect and start using for ethics paper, you're going to use, you can use the same thing for your essay paper as well. Okay? Ethically it's a much more concise because 10 to 15 markers irate athwa 20 markers irate maximum case studies. So alli tumba concise agi baribeku, illi swalpa poetic agi beautiful agi baribeku. That is all. Okay? So ethics should be your favorite paper if you want to score well in essay. And usually it is reflective also because people, that's how you make a difference, right? In mains, in GS, most people will score around the same marks. Where you can go ahead of the race, is in essay, ethics and optional. Okay? So here optional 1 or 2 pages you will anyway write. Rest of the pages you will start writing a little bit from GS perspective and then a little bit from ethics perspective. Okay? This is one exercise that I think I would mentally do, correct? Just to make it easy for me. Like I said, when I saw the question paper, normally this would happen to me that when I would see the question paper, because of the anxiety and the pressure, right, I would not know where to start. So I want to, this is another question a lot of students ask me, how do you choose a question? Correct? So you have to understand the nature of each question. So when I would take a look at the question paper, I would just bucket the questions. If there's any particular topic, then I would write GS based. If there's any particular, say it's completely abstract, philosophically there is no grounding to it. For example, truth knows no color, thought finds a world and creates one also. These two, they are completely abstract, alva. You can't have any grounding to them. Understood? Otherwise, there are moderate ones with some kind of philosophical hooks. For example, supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Here, I can somehow relate this with who? Does anyone know who gave this thought? Sun Tzu, Chinese philosopher and writer. In his book, he has given this quote. So many people will know this. By the time you give your mains, you will also know this. Okay. So this is by Sun Tzu. Okay. Yeah, this is by Sun Tzu. This you can somehow relate to maybe international relations. Okay, there's some hook, there's some amount of philosophy, but there's also some amount of concrete hooks. Okay, you can somehow relate it to some kind of GS. Now, muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. This is I've put this as a practice essay for us today. This is a little challenging. Ivaga, can one of you tell me what you think about this topic? I'll take a minute. What do you think of this topic? One interesting exercise I would like for all of you to do from now on. Take a random quotation and think what you feel about it and how you can write an essay about it. Okay? Very, very important. You need to understand what a particular essay topic means alva. Nimage topic artha agilla andre what are you going to write for 10 pages, 12 pages? Correct? This is, there are 3-4 exercises that I think you should do. Say for example, if I want to give a dance performance, I'll have to learn choreography, right? First step, second step, third step. Each of those steps I will practice and then I will put them together. Correct? Same thing for essay also. There are different steps that you have to do. This is the first step. Go back home, take a few PYQs, look at the questions and try to make sense of the questions. Try to interpret the questions. Now for instance, muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. What does leaving it alone mean? Leaving it alone can mean, okay, let's come back here. Muddy water is what? It could be a problem, correct? What else could it be? Give me answers. Water, you said microorganisms, Salah. Microorganisms, then? Okay, so microorganisms and infection. Maybe you can write a little bit of health perspective. Okay. Infections. Bere, any other interpretation? Disturbed mind. Beautiful. Disturbed mind. Disturbed mind. Bere? Contamination. Okay, contamination. Okay, confusion. Okay, so do we confusion. Do we see how different people are looking at muddy water differently? Correct? And you can make a guess of what thought process they are coming from, what background they are coming from. Understood? Same thing by leaving it alone. Some might see this as inaction, correct? Some might see this as what? Patience. Some might see this as resilience. Correct? So, first exercise is start taking different questions and making this flow chart out of those questions. Take up each word. Best lessons. What are the best lessons? Bitter experiences. What do I mean by bitter experience? For someone, it could be a learning opportunity to learn. For someone else, it could be a demotivation factor. Correct? Maybe you can go a little deeper. For someone, it could be a bad experience that they have been through. Correct? And maybe you can take a wider perspective also. Say for example, bitter experience can be what? Climate change. Climate change victims would have gone through that bitter experience. Correct? So, first exercise I would suggest for all of you to do is take up different PYQs and start breaking them apart like this. Okay? Take each word and ಆ ವರ್ಡಿಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ you start doing that in your own mind. Okay? That is exercise number 2. I'll tell you a few exercises as we go on. Okay? This is how you understand what the meaning of the question is. Got it? So now we've all taken a look at all the questions. Now these are moderate. The years teach much which the days never know. These are relatively accessible. I think one of you picked these two, right? Two from this. I think you picked 2 of these. So when you're writing, when you're in the exam hall, right? If you're really scared, if you're not able to think, see which are the most accessible, which are the most easiest for you to understand and go for them. Okay? Number 2, second thing is when you start practicing essays, you will start generating points, right? So you have to choose that essay wherein the minute I see this essay, I have like maybe 7 to 8 different points in my mind that I can come up with. That is when you choose that particular topic. Got it? Number 3, I'll give you an instance of truth knows no color. I'll tell you how I would interpret this by the end of the class. Okay, we will do a few exercises, then it will make sense to you. If I was in the exam, I'll tell you why I chose the questions that I attempted in my own mains also. Okay, so sometimes what you can do is you can think creatively, and if you can think of a structure that you think is very unique, nobody else would have thought about this, Anta, go for that immediately. Again, given that you have to interpret it appropriately. You should not take a wrong interpretation, correct? If you don't understand the topic properly, leave it. It's better to write 5 pages on a difficult topic that you understand than to write 10 pages on a wrongly understood topic. Artha aita? So if you don't understand a topic, do not write it. Okay? Read all the 8 questions when you are in the exam hall. Read all the 8 questions 2-3 times. Choose 3 or 4 that you think you can write. Read them 2-3 times again. Make sure your understanding of those topics is very correct. Okay, I think this is something that people who are with me in the previous sessions also are comfortable with. Now, generally, when you start learning to ride a cycle, two wheel zero cycle, is it very easy? It is difficult to balance, right? So what do? We give the kid a 3-wheeler cycle, correct? Or an extra supporting wheel in the side. These frameworks are like that supporting wheel. Initially, you can use them, okay? But by the time you actually give your mains, you should not use these only. Okay? When you start writing essay, a lot of students come to me and say, ma'am, 2 pages ke, 3 pages ke, like you are not able to think beyond that. You don't know how to write beyond 2-3 pages. So for those kind of people, this will be useful. For instance, I'll just take a minute to explain all of them. Okay? Yeah. PESTEL, I've put it last because this is the most famous one. Okay? This is political, economic, social, technological, legal and environmental. Okay? If you are taking PESTEL approach, I would suggest to take an expanded PESTEL approach. So political na bari political angle intane togobedi. Take constitution, governance or good governance, got it? Judiciary. So there are different angles to political science, right? So take up all of these different angles. Understood? Because most people who are writing UPSC, like say for example your competitors who are studying in Delhi, they would have all dealt with PESTEL. Okay? So if I have around say 30,000 essays and like 15,000 of them use PESTEL, I will be bored, right, as an evaluator. Correct? So my suggestion is only use these points to, only use this to generate different points. But beyond that, I think it's not necessary. You have many other frameworks that you can go for or come up with something that's unique to the question. I'll give you an example of truth knows no color later. Okay? So, PESTEL artha aita ellarigu? Huh? I don't think 3 hours is enough for me to explain each of them in depth and take a proper, give you an example and everything. So, I'm going to explain the frameworks for now. But later what you can do is take 1 or 2 PYQs and start practicing them with these frameworks. Okay. So what these frameworks are basically doing is, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points are there, alva. Each of these 6 points, let us say you generate 3 different sub-points. Okay. Each of those 6 points, 3 different sub-points. Correct? That will make how many points total? Very good. Good CSAT. Okay. So you'll have around 18 points. This you can write in around how many pages? 8 pages, average, 2 to 3 points per page, correct? So here you have 8 pages, then 2 pages, maybe 1 page for introduction, then 1 page for conclusion, 8 pages about the essay, maybe 2 pages you'll write questioning the essay itself. Understood? Got it? We'll come, I'll explain what I mean by all of this later, but I want you to have this bird's eye view right now. Okay? So this is for instance PESTEL. Next you have a womb to tomb approach. Let us say for example, healthcare mele there is a essay topic that you have to write. Okay? Randomly instead of writing 10 pages, tell in the introduction only to the reader that you are going to write an essay which will see healthcare from womb to tomb. What does that mean? When a child is in the womb, how does healthcare impact the child? Maternal care, correct? Here you can write government, here you can write a lot of government schemes that are going to help pregnant women, correct? You can write about that. Once the baby is born, in early childhood, what matters? Vaccination, nutrition, breastfeeding, all of these you can write about, correct? In your essay. Next you have here you can also again write a lot of government schemes that are targeting these areas, correct? Next you have, after early childhood, you have childhood years, right? Here you will get during the education years. So you can write Poshan Abhiyan, midday meal scheme, all of that, correct? Next you have adolescent age. Here you will have what? Reproduction based education, correct? Sex education. Then you will have HPV vaccine, current affairs, maybe 1 or 2 points you will add there, correct? Next you have old age care or maybe working age care. Here you can write about say diabetics, non-communicable diseases, all of them. Then you have old age. Here you will have silver economy, government schemes again. So now did you understand there are 7 to 8 different stages of human life from womb to tomb, and you can explore all of these stages in different ways in different pages. On each stage, if you write 1.5 page also, you are able to comfortably write 8 to 9 pages, correct? Understood? So this is how you break down your essay, so that you can write around 10 to 12 pages, okay? Next you have historical, contemporary, futuristic. Okay, so history again you can break down into ancient, say for example, education system. Okay, if you have a question on education system, you can break down ancient periodally how was the education system. Again anciently you have how was Western education system and how was Indian education system, for instance, correct? Then you have medieval early education system. You can write one page about each of these: ancient, medieval, modern, then current, and how education system will look in the future, correct? Next, you have individual, family, society, state and international. So you're going from different levels. Individual, for example, you can take health education or any, even the philosophical topics. If you like learn the skill, so the skill that you have to learn here is how to take a philosophical topic and break it down, okay? And then use any of these frameworks, so you can even combine them depending on your skill level. Okay, so I would suggest that these are only the wheels, the helping wheels that will help you come up with content for 10 to 12 pages of essay. Correct? This is how you come up with content. Does anyone have any doubt here? So you understood, Allah? These are some of the frameworks that you can use to generate points and generate content. Now we have taken a look at the frameworks. Now we'll take a look at essay. Now if you don't give me answers, it will be very, very difficult for me. You all told me you understood till now whatever I said, right? Now put your words into actions and answer me, okay? So best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. One of your friend only chose this question, interestingly enough. Tell me what you think of this question. And let us also add one more. Neev idana baritididre, what introduction would you have given? And there is no wrong answer. Essay is open to interpretation. In fact, when I discuss essays with my own friends, right, who have cleared, who are writing mains, we'll all have very different interpretations and there is no wrong interpretation. Okay? I'll give you just 1 or 2 minutes. Tell me what you think about this particular essay and how you would introduce this essay. Okay, you would introduce it, Hanga. Okay, wow, beautiful. So Gandhiji was thrown out of a train, correct? In South Africa. That was what? That was Gandhiji's bitter experience, correct? Then he learned the lesson what? What is the lesson he learned? Beautiful. That is the lesson, that wherever there is inhumane treatment of people, wherever there is discrimination, wherever there is wrong treatment of people, you have to fight back. And you have to fight back how? With non-violence, correct? So what was his bitter experience? Being thrown out of a train. And what was the lesson that he learned? That you have to fight back wherever there is injustice. And you have to fight non-violently, correct? That's a beautiful introduction, very good. Any other introductions? Okay. Okay, so Thomas Alva Edison 1000 times try madidru, aglilla. This was his bitter experience, his failure, correct? But he learned the best of lessons and 1001 time bulb kandididru. That is what you want to say. Beautiful. This is also a good introduction. Any other? Beautiful. Okay, so maybe you can take Ambedkar, correct? His bitter experiences of caste-based discrimination taught him the best lesson that all humans are equal and equal treatment irbeku. Also, maybe there's a better way to see it. The lesson that he thought, the lesson that he learned was that education is one of the best weapons, correct? So he used education as one of the best, that is the lesson that he learned. Best lesson is that education, there are 3 words, right? Fight, okay, just take a look at it. Adna use ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲಿ. Anyway, so these are good introductions. We got one Ambedkar, we got Thomas Alva Edison, and we got one Gandhi experience. Everyone understood? Any doubts? Okay, beautiful. Now, after the introduction, tell me what you will write. You have to fill 6 to 7 pages at least, correct? Give me some content. We got, okay, we'll write Gandhi, Ambedkar, and Thomas Alva Edison. Health sector, you want to write about? Okay, beautiful. Health. ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಬರೀತೀರಾ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್? ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್? ಹಾಂ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ ಚಂದ್ರಯಾನ್. Chandrayaan 2 was a bitter experience. Chandrayaan 3 was a success. That was the lesson, correct? Next. Establishment of United Nations post Cold War and yeah, cool. International relations. Beautiful. Japan. Again, this will come under. Beautiful. Nuclear attack on Japan. That was their bitter experience, and from the lessons that they learned, now they have become a beautiful society. That is how you write it, correct? Beautiful, very good, very nice.
Lesson of unity, Indian freedom struggle.
Unity.
Indian freedom struggle.
Okay, Indian freedom struggle. So, freedom struggle, unity. Beautiful. Next. Indus Water Treaty. Okay. Beautiful. Next. Gender equality. Gender equality how? What? Bitter experience and best lesson. See, as I see, tumba broad agogtide. You are only giving me topics. Give me a particular example. Correct? Gender equality. How will you present this in gender equality? Okay, education you want to write about, or you can even write about pay, gender pay parity. Okay, that would be better. But education how? Oh, beautiful. Okay, gender equality. Okay, Nelson Mandela. Okay, again people, he'll come here. Beautiful. Everyone knows the topics we are all talking about. Correct? The purpose of this class is not that I will come here, tell you this is how you write an essay and leave. The purpose of this class, the takeaway that I want you to have from this class is that you already have the knowledge. What you should learn to get good marks in essay is how do you present that knowledge, how do you access that knowledge, because you already have it in your brain. Illiro points yarigadru enadru gottillade irodidya? Anything completely new to any of you? No, right? So you just have to pick up the skill where you sit down and you think of a topic and you bring all of this to the topic. Got it? So you have random topics like this. Okay? Why I gave you the framework previously was to tell you how you can make it better. Okay? Now we'll take the same essay from individual to international level. Okay? And I want you only to attempt it. Understood? What we'll do here is, for example, my introduction maybe, for example, would be, I would write scars are teachers written on the skin of life. They hurt but they never lie. Okay? This is how maybe I would have written it. Understood? Next we have So this why I am giving you is so that nimig artha agli. How do you approach a topic? Correct? When you see best lessons are learned through bitter experiences, how do you interpret bitter experiences? How do you interpret best lessons? Correct? That's what you have to learn. So why is it bitter experience? Think of sweet versus bitter learning or experience. Books and sermons will give sweet experience, correct? It's knowledge, it's understanding. But there's only so much they can do. When you fall down by, it's one thing to read that someone fell down. It's another thing to fall down and hurt your own knee and learn your own lesson. Correct? So the same thing I've tried to explain here. Wounds give wisdom, books and sermons give knowledge. Okay? Explore why pain is more lasting teacher than comfort. So this is what is expected that you do in this essay to get good marks. It's very easy to write an average essay also on this topic. Correct? How do you get extra marks is by going a little in depth. Why pain is more lasting teacher than comfort. Gandhiji went through pain. That is why his lessons were good. Correct? If we sit down and read about Gandhi, maybe the lessons that we learn is not as effective as the lessons that Gandhiji himself learned. Makes sense? That is why our experience will make us who we are. Correct? All of this you will write down in your essay. Now, the same thing, whatever topics we discussed here, Alva, we'll take a look at it from individual to international perspective. I don't want to just mention the frameworks and leave. I also want you to practice it. Okay? So, we'll transform this only from individual to international perspective. Okay? Individual level alli enen baribodu. Give me faster pointers ivaga. If you've already thought about it, I want to tell you how having a framework will help you. Understood? So, individual alli enen baribodu navu. Huh? We can give Gandhi, Ambedkar, all of these examples. Correct? Nelson Mandela, Thomas Alva Edison. Next, which is the next level? Family or society? Society level, what are some of the bitter experiences we've had? Caste system. Correct? Next. Gender. We spoke about this. Correct? Next. Organization or state. Ilenin baribodu. 1991 economic reforms. Correct? Bitter experience. Now we are the highest GDP. Correct? Think. Organization at the state level bere enen baribodu. Bitter experiences. What are the bitter experiences India has had? Partition. I think someone mentioned partition. Very good. Partition. Green revolution. Beautiful. What else? Any other point?
School debate competitions.
Okay, or organization level. You want to write debate competitions in organization. Beautiful. Competitions. You can write competitions and sports also here. Correct? Because sports is a trending topic, alva. You can write about sports also. Next, what else? International. Here you can write about environment, global warming, disasters. Do you see how having a framework immediately made it easy for us to think of points? Do you see that there's a difference? That is the purpose of frameworks. Okay, we'll explore individual to international. One unique thing that I would try to do in most of my essays, if possible, is I would counter it. But are the best lessons learned through bitter experiences only? Maybe best lessons are learned by someone else's bitter experience. Correct? I don't have to fall to know that falling will hurt. Correct? For example, let us say biographies, reading biographies. The best lessons are learned through others' lives also. See, if I have to learn lessons only in my own life, maybe I will learn 100 lessons. If I tell I'm going to learn all the lessons that all of my classmates learned, each of us would have learned 15 lessons. Okay? So that way I will learn 1,000 lessons. Correct? Correct? So maybe 1 or 2 pages what you can do is, you can question the topic that is given. Okay, just lightly. You should not criticize it. You should not say I completely disagree with the question. You can only question. Maybe this is a different perspective also. Anta. Okay, you can question it for 1 or 2 pages. This is again to give you variety of content. You should have the ability to critically analyze anything, right? No matter how good a policy is, it might have some drawbacks. Correct? Same thing, you have a policy, maybe this does have other perspectives and drawbacks also. That is what you're going to see. Understood? Now, do you have a rough idea of how you can structure your essays? 1 or 2 pages introduction, 1 or 2 pages of conclusion, maybe 6 to 7 pages of content on the particular topic. Got it? And then 1 or 2 pages of criticism. This is how you divide your attention, because what happens when you sit down and randomly start writing an essay, maybe you start with the introduction of history, okay, and maybe your optional is history, you write 4 pages of introduction, 100%. Understood? Do you think that is doing justice to the essay? No. So, this is important. Have a framework in your mind and have this number of pages are there, 1 or 2 pages of introduction, 1 or 2 pages of conclusion, 6 to 8 pages of supporting the statement, 1 or 2 pages of maybe questioning the statement or critical analysis, correct? And then in the conclusion, what are you going to write? Are you going to support criticism or are you going to support the topic in the conclusion? You're going to come back to the topic. Maybe if you've written an anecdote, or if, say for example, we started with Gandhi, correct? So we can come back in the, see here I have already written counter view, bitter experiences are not the only teacher, often the deepest. So this can be a conclusion. Here I have written maybe bitter experiences are not the best lessons, maybe we can learn through others' experiences also, not our own experiences, correct? And maybe sometimes sweet experiences are also good teachers, right? So I am questioning the question, you understood? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಬಿಟರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸೇ ಇರಬೇಕಂತ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಐ ಡೂ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಗುಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಮಿ ಫೀಲ್ ಗುಡ್ ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಅ ಟೀಚರ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಐ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಸಮ್ ಒನ್ correct, that's how you do good in society also. So I will write about that also, you can question. That's the whole purpose of an essay. It's beautiful to interpret, it's open to interpret, correct? You can interpret it however you want. Maybe you will write, no, not only bitter experiences, sweet experiences are also good lessons. Maybe someone else will write, I shouldn't experience it, somebody else experiences it, I will learn from it, that is also a good lesson. Correct? You can write whatever you want as long as you write it with a good flow. Understood? First till now we came up with random topics, health, space, science and technology, hange alva. Writing that would be difficult. Now let us assume in my introduction I have written something like this, and I would have said let us explore how this essay will impact us from individual level onwards. Okay, then I will write about individual level. In the individual level, let us take the example of Thomas Alva Edison or Ambedkar, and then I will write about that. Okay, moving on to the societal level, that's how I build connection from topic to topic. Okay, again feel free to ask me doubts, this is the time. Okay, in fact 1 or 2 people came up to me before the session and asked me doubts. I was like, oh wow, these people are going to be really interactive. I would like to carry forward the same spirit. Shoot whatever you have at any point of time in your mind. Okay, now we'll go on to the second essay. Okay, yeah, this again I think one of you chose, Alva. Okay, what I'll give you maybe 1 or 2 minutes, think about it. What would your introduction be for this? Nimage river athwa nadi bandu, it's representing journey. Lake bandu, it is representing destination. Beautiful. Did you all understand his approach? His approach is very beautiful, right? He's telling life should be like a river. When it is a journey, it is clean. Correct? When it becomes a destination, it becomes muddled. It becomes a little dirty. That is what you mean to say. Beautiful. Any other interpretations? Okay, beautiful. So she is telling when you start a business your destination, it should not be a destination where okay I have to make profits. That is not how you see a business. Your business has to in its journey create good quality products or value products or services, right? Or jobs. That is the journey. That is more beautiful. That is what you say. Beautiful. Okay. What are any other interpretations? Okay. Life is very short. So you know how you can tell that very beautifully. You can say life is very short. So going to a destination is very difficult because life is so short. It itself is a journey. Correct? Huh. What else?
ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ
ಹಾಂ
ಅದನ್ನ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮುಂದೆ ನಾನು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಓಕೆ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಸರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಂತ
correct correct. So he is telling how even though sometimes destination ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗಿದು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇವಾಗ when you are writing UPSC, clearing UPSC might be your destination, but once you clear UPSC you want your own service. Once you get your own service, the service that you want, alva, that will become the new destination. Get it? Next, after you get into the service, you want to go to a higher position. That will be your new destination. So even if you achieve your destination in the near future, your destination also will become a part of the journey. Correct? So that is how you interpret this question. What else? Does anyone else want to say anything else?
ನಮ್ಮ ಡೆಸ್ಟಿನೇಷನ್ ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿರಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು UPSC ಡೆಸ್ಟಿನೇಷನ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ನಾಳೆ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಆಗದೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫ್ ಬೇರೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಕಡೆ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು.
Okay. So ನೀವು destination, life is only about destination ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ it becomes a matter of failure or success. Correct? But if you take a view of life as a journey, you will have the ability and grace to learn. So if you fail and you don't reach your destination, if you see life as only a destination, what happens? You will be demotivated. Correct? There's no learning from that failure. But if you take life as a journey, then you'll think, okay, maybe I didn't reach this destination, but I'm somewhere. I'm going to learn something. Correct? Okay, now we interpreted the question. So this is how you interpret a question. Understood? Now we'll see what we can write about this question. Neev exam hall illidare, what would you write in this particular question? Tell me.
Leading to a destination or being focused only towards a destination may stop you from exploring or discovering new things ahead of it.
Okay, beautiful. It's like you're sitting in a train and you want to go somewhere, but then because you're so focused on going to that place, you don't see the beautiful scenery that you are traveling in.
Maybe the things that are there or present after our prescribed destination would be more beautiful than what we think.
Okay, beautiful. So we all have different interpretations of this question, right? So there are different ways. So all of what we discussed right now can be a part of your introduction, connectors, conclusion, things like that. Understood? Now we'll come to what content we'll write. Got it? Now we'll try and generate a few points. Tell me what all do you think you can write in this question? Okay, you want to take destination as a target and journey as continuity. Beautiful. Okay. So content ಏನು ಬರೀತೀರಾ, ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಬರೀತೀರಾ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ? Our constitution, beautiful. So our constitution is not a destination. Our constitution is a journey. It's an organic document, right? We are able to make amendments. So the recent one, for instance, gave representation for women. That is a part of the journey, not a part of the destination. Correct? Next.
Scientific discoveries.
Okay, scientific discoveries. How? Give me an example.
Discovering of new technologies for maybe now.
Okay, so right now let us say, like say 2 years ago, who would have assumed ChatGPT would become this famous and prevalent in our lives, right? Understood? But now it's become a norm. Next maybe something even better will come up. And then after that something even better might come up. Correct? No one would think metaverse is possible right now. Correct? So scientific discoveries and scientific progression itself is a journey. It's not a destination. Understood? Okay. What else?
ನಾವು ಇಂಡಿಯಾಗೆ ಓದ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಬಟ್ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
Beautiful.
ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ.
Okay. For example, economic perspective in the India is currently 4th in our GDP, correct? GDP size. So even if he's telling, even if we become first, let us say, let us assume that that's our destination, and even if we get there, we will have even more responsibilities, and that also will become a part of the journey. Correct? Okay, what else? There could be another interpretation to the same thing. What I can write is destination should be maybe higher GDP, yes, but more important is the journey. What is the journey? K-shaped recovery beka namige? No. Unequal growth beka? Beda. Correct? So the journey will become development for all. Correct? This is maybe how I would interpret it. So the destination is GDP, but the journey is more important. What is journey? That everybody is benefiting from the high GDP, not just a few rich people, correct? Now, how do you, okay, now we have this philosophical topic, right? How do I make it realistic? Now, the way that it works in my head is, I am standing on the ground here, okay? And these philosophical topics are flowing here. What I should do is build connectors to ground them, okay? So what I will do is, I will interpret journey and destination in different ways. For example, what is my destination in economic terms? GDP. Now I made this realistic. It's not just empty philosophy anymore, right? It's not scary anymore. I have made it a little realistic. Now GDP is something we all understand? Understood. So when you see the topic journey and destination, when you see this topic, you should not just randomly write philosophy for 10 pages. You will also get bored, reader also will get bored. So what you should try and do is use these frameworks to sort of ground this thought. This thought is, let's say, flying in the air. You have to use economy, say for instance, in this instance GDP, science and tech, for example AI, we discussed all of this, right? So all of this are connectors to the ground. This will make it real. So why is it important that I have to bring it down to ground? Because I have data. When you're writing mains, you know what the GDP is? You know about, you have data about inequality in India. You know top 1% have how much wealth, bottom 50% have how much wealth. You can't directly add data into a random philosophical question, correct? How do you make it more value laden? By making it real like this. This is where you add data. Here you can add data, right? Scientific discoveries you can add important data, important facts. Here economic wise you can add important data. Here if you start writing about constitution, you can write about articles. For example, I only gave you amendment, 106th amendment, correct? Idella na odiradu. Understood? The skill that you have to pick up is, you have to see something that's very abstract and see how you can ground that using different frameworks, different ways of how you think. Okay, this is the second exercise that you have. Take random words, okay? Whenever, like say you go out with your friends to have tea, you can take up journey. In class we had done justice, for instance. Okay, take up this one particular random abstract word, try to see how that word can be interpreted in different subjects. Does it make sense? For instance, here my destination is what? Good GDP, or my destination, my journey becomes what? Equal growth. Got it? So how do I interpret destination in different ways? Science and technology, what is my destination? Economically, what is my destination? International relations, what is India's destination? Maybe India's destination right now is UNLE permanent seat beko. Correct? All of this is all information that I have, this is all information that you all know. Is there anything that new that I've completely bought in, something that you guys don't know about? So this is the exercise I want you to perform. Whenever you are out, whenever you have some free time, learn to brainstorm. The most important skill you can learn in this exam is the ability to brainstorm. The problem with this, especially our generation where scrolling is easy, Swiggy, Uber, everything is here, we have very little time to really think about things, correct? So sit, make that habit. When you see, the whole purpose of this exam is not that you, the purpose of the exam is not just to test how much knowledge or how much skill you have. The whole point of the exam is that you become an officer through this exam. Whenever you sit down for tea or coffee, sit and think about things like this, like what is justice? What is the point of the constitution? Have these kind of productive debates also with your friends. Again, limited, relevant to the question, syllabus oriented, but still have the ability and capacity to think. Correct. Now that I am in service, my colleagues are in service, they have not stopped reading. We all read newspaper, not because we have to write UPSC, but say for example, I want to have a conversation with you. And ನನಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ BBMP is getting dissolved apparently. We were talking about it today morning. Now if you have not read about it, I am a Bangalorean, I was born and brought up in Bangalore and I don't know about it. It doesn't reflect well on me as an officer, right? Correct. So whatever you do for this exam, it's not because you have to clear an exam. Try to transform yourself into a person that's more officer-like. When we did our FC, we had this whole book about Sishtachar and officer-like qualities. Correct. So you don't be disciplined to clear this exam. You become a more disciplined person because this exam will give you leverage for responsibility to make decisions over thousands of people, right? Without discipline, you will not be able to manage your life. Understood? That's why it's important that you have a disciplined schedule when you're studying for the exam. Not because you will only clear the exam, but because you will become a better officer. Understood? So anytime I'm coming here, I'll come here on time. In fact, I'll come here like 10 minutes early. Those are small qualities that you have to inculcate now. Why am I on time now? Because when I used to study, I would have a timetable and sharp at that particular point of time, I would start studying and then I would stop studying. You understood? So try as much as possible to see the process of this exam as a transformative process to become a better officer or a better person in general. It doesn't mean only officers are like that. Anybody who's punctual, anybody who's disciplined will do better in life, right? Correct. So coming back, whenever you have some time, start taking up abstract topics, justice, freedom, random abstract topics. Try to see them from different general studies perspective. See how you can write 2-3 data points about random topics. That way you're priming your brain to think differently, correct? So I have given you like a rough skeleton of maybe what I would have written, okay? I'll give you a minute, just take a look at it. People in the last, can you see? Oh no, okay. I'm going to zoom in like this for now, okay? I've put this here very particularly. How many people know this poem? Oh, okay. How many of you here read books or? Oh, that's fine. Okay. So most of the people who read, right? Robert Frost, this poem, I think it was given to us in NCERT, class 8 or 7 or something like this. Those of you who are a little bit into reading books also, you would know this is a very famous poem. Naan idna by heart maadbittide. The reason I put it there is because I want to make a point now. Whatever your interest area is, right? For me, maybe it was reading books, maybe it was dance, maybe it was something else. I would collect some information there from that particular field also so that I can just sprinkle it around in the UPSC exam, which I still did. I'll tell you how I did it later, okay? But this poem I had by-hearted, okay? What I had noticed is something that's related to journey and destination is mostly given in every year. At least from what I had seen. Okay, and this poem talks about journey and destination. So I had memorized it. So most of the questions that spoke about journey and destination, I could just directly cut paste it. And it would be a beautiful introduction because very few people will start with a poem, right? It will require some effort from your side. So in fact, when I wrote my own essay paper, my first essay, I started with the poem, the same one, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. So what I mean to say right now is ನೀವು ಎಸ್ಸೆಗೆ ಸಪ್ರೇಟಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಂತ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. How do you prepare for essay? By building these skills, by doing these exercises that I told you, number 1. Okay. Number 2, in whatever your interest area is, collect a few examples, collect a few anecdotes that are useful for you. Got it? And have diverse topics, like for example, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, you can use in many different contexts, correct? Understood? Or for example, Gandhi, although I would not suggest overusing Gandhi because 30,000 essays irutte. Other I'm sure 20,000 would have mentioned Gandhi, correct? So very overused togondilla andru, have a unique collection of examples that is yours. Okay, positive examples, negative examples, this will help you both for ethics as well as essay. Understood? So this was my collection. One of them was this poem. I had another friend who would constantly collect a lot of poems because that was their interest. So ನಿಮ್ಮ interest ಏನಿದೆ, maybe you can collect sports persons, maybe you can also collect singers. Whatever it is, you can have unique examples, right? That will make you stand out from all the general essays. Understood? So in this, maybe let us take, again, remember womb to tomb approach? We studied about the framework previously. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, take a look at this, read this, ask me if you have any doubt, and then maybe I'll go through it once. I was thinking about these essays and I came up with something very interesting. I'll tell you why this particular essay I chose as the second one. I've not just taken one framework. Okay, it's almost like a pun. You guys know what a pun is? Okay, I'm assuming most of you know. Okay, so it's almost like a pun. They have said life as a journey and a destination, right? I've taken life itself and I've taken different stages of life here, correct? Womb to tomb. And in each of these stages, I have shown how life is not just a destination but also a journey. Understood? This is slightly complex to write, but it will come with some skill and some practice. Hing bari beku, ideally, to get really good marks. Okay? I have taken each part of life, okay? Say for example, for some people, now we are taking life as a journey and we are breaking that up as many destinations, correct? So one of my first destination is in the womb. My next destination will be childhood. My next destination will be school years. My next destination will be adolescence, and then youth and work, elderhood. All of these are destinations in themselves, Alva. And I have shown how life is more of a journey than a destination in each of these. Did you understand? Does it make sense? This is how you ideally, you don't stick to just a framework and blindly write. You sort of interweave different concepts. Got it? Any doubts in this? You all understood? Okay. So here womb will be my first destination. Birth transforms this destination into the beginning of another journey. Here you can write about maternal nutrition. You can write about all the schemes of the government. All of the GS knowledge that you will have, Alva, about maternal mortality rate, child mortality rate, stunting, wasting, undernutrition, malnutrition, all of these problems you can write here. And all of those problems you can write that the destination is that we have healthy children and the journey is that we are improving all of these different markers that I mentioned. Got it? So now I have taken whatever this abstract topic is and I am trying to understand how I can relate them and write about the data points that I have. Got it? Next I have taken childhood. Here I have written land of innocence. So for example, if one sees childhood as the ultimate destination, then they will remain innocent. But if you constantly remain innocent, life will stagnate. You have to learn, you have to grow, you have to improve in your life, right? You can't remain a child. So that will become my journey. Understood? When you're writing about children, you can write about immunization, child stunting again, then child stunting prevention. You can even include education here if you want. Otherwise, you can write about education in their school years. Okay? So here, in your school years, learning is more important. So here what I've tried to do is 100% literacy is what? It's a destination. Correct? But what is the journey? That we provide good quality education to all of the students. Understood? So that is the journey that I've mentioned here. Now I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Okay? We'll work on this. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. Okay? I want you to write in your notes, because sitting and listening is one thing, but trying to write. Best lessons are learned through bitter experiences, right? So I want you to have that bitter experience here only in the class. We'll try and write one particular essay at least. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Scribble, okay? What is your introduction? What is your conclusion? And in your framework, what are the important points that you're going to write? So this could be education, women, science and tech, economy, polity. Again, in between them, all of the different points. This will be your rough sheet, right? This will have your essay structure. This is the most important part of your the process in which you write your essay. So the time that I have given you right now, I want you to make this. Think about one introduction, think about one conclusion. If you are not able to think about it, just start thinking about the essay in general and pick up the most relevant point as your introduction. Okay, that's one trick. Because what happens when you start reading about a particular topic is, oh, idak introduction ani gotaktilla. So that will keep running in your mind. So if that kind of anxiety you have, you leave introduction, start thinking of it from different frameworks and different angles. Idr bagge ಏನೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ, pick up something from that only and start writing in your introduction. So introduction, conclusion and your body content. Okay, this is what you should prepare in the first 10 minutes of writing your essay. Understood? Got it? Okay, now I want to explore what some of us have written. Okay, who wants to go ahead and tell me what introduction you have written?
ಕಲುಷಿತಗೊಂಡಿರುವ ನೀರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸೇವಿಸಿದರೆ ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆರೋಗ್ಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರುತ್ತದೆಯೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮಟ್ಟದ ಹಾಗೆ ಏಕಾಂಗತನವು ತಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ಮೇಲೆ ಋಣಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರುತ್ತದೆ. ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಒಂದು ಪಂಜರದೊಳಗೆ ಇಟ್ಟಿರುವ ಪಕ್ಷಿಯನ್ನು ಅಥವಾ ಮನುಷ್ಯನನ್ನು 4 ಗೋಡೆಗಳ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಇಟ್ಟಿದಾಗ ಆ ಮನುಷ್ಯವು ತಾನು ಸಂತೋಷವನ್ನು ಕಳೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಖಿನ್ನತೆಗೊಳಗಾಗಬಹುದು ಅಥವಾ ತಾನು ಜೀವಿಸುವ ಹಂಬಲವನ್ನು ಕಳೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದು.
Beautiful. Okay, so you have equated muddy water to mental health, alva? Okay, beautiful. Any other introductions?
Muddy water is like a disturbed mind or intolerance or zero patience and stress, like psychological disturbance due to influences of social media, sensitive mindset and lifestyle. What we live in the materialistic world, there is no time for moral values like love, compassion, mercy, brotherhoodness in these corporative jobs and also peer pressure. In order to get rid of all these mental issues, taking some breaks and spending time alone and going for the journey, it all gives a life better peaceful mind. And as like Swami Vivekananda said, at least talk once in a day to yourself, otherwise you will miss a good person you met it.
Okay, beautiful. She's given a quotation of Vivekananda and then she has spoken about how our mind is sometimes muddy water and we have to leave it alone for the muddy water to settle. Correct? That is what she has mentioned. Very good, beautiful, very good, good attempt. Okay, so again it will come down to mental health. Okay, beautiful. But we are getting stuck only in 1 or 2 points. Correct? Any other points? Any other points? Very good, very good.
If anything or any people enter into this, like muddy water, it takes their shapes and its characters.
Okay, okay, very interesting. So you are talking about anyone who will step into the muddy water, right? Good aito. So all of these are different, beautiful, okay? All of these are different interpretations. Now what I am going to do is tell you my perspective on it. See, again in essay, did you understand in the 5-10 minutes that I gave you almost 7 minutes, okay? You will get double that time in the actual exam hall when you are writing your essay, but by then you should have generated around 15 to 20 points. Thinking of 1 or 2 points for us is so difficult right now, correct? So that is why doing these exercises will become very important. You have to have some frameworks and start thinking of one perspective, one topic from different perspectives. Okay, this is an exercise I want you guys to focus on. Understood? Now I will tell you what I would have written if I was in your place. The problem that I felt when I read this is leaving it alone andre enagutte andre inaction. Correct? And inaction is not a very good thing always. Correct? Sometimes maybe you should go and filter the muddy water. Maybe it's important. Let us say, for example, muddy water is caste-based discrimination. Is inaction good? No, right? So that kind of questioning you can do in maybe 1 or 2 pages, okay? For anyone who would take this particular topic, I would suggest be careful in how you're going to write the essay. That is why this will become very tricky, because inaction na itkondu ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬರೋದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಏನಾದರೂ ತಪ್ಪು ನಡೀತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಜನರಲಿ ಮಡಿ ವಾಟರ್ ಸೀನ್ ಆಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಸೀನ್ ಆಸ್ ಅನ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್? ತಪ್ಪೇನಾದರೂ ನಡೀತಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಥವಾ ಏನೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ತುಂಬ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮೇ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ಸಮ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ದೋಸ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಥಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರಿಟನ್ ಹಿಯರ್. But in the exam hall, it might become a little difficult to write those particular points. That is why it's important that when you're reading the questions in the exam hall, really think about the questions and see if you have enough points for that particular question. Because what happens is, sometimes people will take up one question, they will write 2-3 pages and realize they don't have content. Because this is a difficult topic. Idhuk examples,ivag so many problems are there in our society, and you cannot solve problems by just being quiet, correct? Generally speaking. So this is a very rare case. So this essay will make you think of rare cases. If you have enough points, write, beautiful. If you don't have enough points, what happens is, that's why it's important to make this framework. Understood? In the first 5 or 10 minutes, if you start working on this framework, okay, here maybe 3-4 points you'll generate, and then you'll be like, oh illappa nanige generate madak aagtilla, kashta aagtide. You can come back, this will be your rough sheet anyway. Got it? You can come back, pick a different topic. If you randomly start writing without making a structure, without having a rough sheet that you have worked on, then you will write 2-3 pages, realize you don't have content, and then you will have to go for a different essay. Then you will not have time, correct? You will not have space. You know you've already made a big blunder in your essay answer. Understood? That's why your essay is as good as your structure is. Okay? From now on, a lot of people ask me, how many mocks should I write? The right question is, how many essays should I practice? How do you practice essays? Like this. Basically, what you're going to write in your actual essay will be an expansion of this. Got it? Illi enirbeku, for example, we discussed science and tech Chandrayaan. Correct? Thomas Alva Edison. All of those points will bardirbeku neevu. Ee point na nodida takshana you have to come back to your actual answer sheet and start writing one entire paragraph on how Thomas Alva Edison learned from his own bitter experiences. Understood? So this will become the most important part of your essay. Okay? So this will serve many purposes. One, your essay will have good structure, because you have already allocated page alli ididinu baribeku anta. Okay? You are already much more better planned than a lot of other people who are going to randomly start writing their essay and they will mess up their space. You are better than your competitors by doing that. Got it? Number 2, how are you better than your competitors? If you don't have enough content for a particular topic, which is it might seem like it's easy, but it's actually a difficult topic. If you have enough points, great, amazing, write it. You'll get more marks. But if you can't do justice to it, 3 pages later you will not realize it. No, here only you will realize it. You will drop it there in the first 5-10 minutes, come back to a different topic. Make sense? Okay, great. Now, in this particular essay, because this is tricky, I wanted to pick it up and see if we can do some work with it. I wanted to take a look at it. Maybe I'll give you 5 minutes. Can you see it? No, right? Should I? Is this better? Can you read? Kaanisidya last? Okay. So this is how you can interpret this essay. So muddy water alli, leaving it alone can be inaction, but one saving point for you will be inaction versus patience. ಅಥವಾ ಹೈಪರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್. ಸಿ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಮಡ್ಡಿ ವಾಟರ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಾನು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗಿ ಹೈಪರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವೀನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, let us, I would have explored in this only, let us say over regulation in terms of government, okay? Something is happening, instead of actually thinking about it, immediately I'll come out with a law, immediately I'll come out with a rule. That is not possible, right? Hasty decisions ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ನಾವು, correct? So hasty decision making is one point that you can add here. Understood? Take a look at what I've written. If you have any doubt, you ask me. So right now we are living in a modern world where everything is over controlled and the wisdom of restraint is very little, correct? We have everything that is accessible to us, We have everything that is controllable by us, especially because we are living in a very digitalized world, right? So restraint is very difficult. Correct? Like she said, muddy water of our brain, if you keep scrolling Instagram, muddy water is not going to clear. Correct? You have to leave it alone. Go for a hike. So all of this you can, in fact, if any one of you are into running marathons, going on a hike, going to the gym, you have your own hobbies, right? That is how you inculcate all of that into your essay. For example, one of you is interested in hiking. Okay? Going on a hike is what? It's being calm, right? Muddy waters irutte in our mind. Going on a hike or going on a run will help it what? Calm down and clear the water. Understood? So you can use your own hobbies in this way, in the particular essay. Okay? Exercise, yoga, breathing, all of this is leaving it alone. Correct? Understood? Anyway, Stoicism is again one ideology, line of thinking. Control what you can, accept what you cannot. See, sometimes what we try to do is, we try to overact, right? Sometimes what should be left alone should be left alone. Correct? That is how you respect something. In this particular essay, this is a beautiful way where you can challenge the essay and write that sometimes it's important to take action, not by leaving it alone, but by taking action. I have already given you one example, caste-based discrimination. Any kind of problem, you should say we have to take action. So, probably for this essay, I would have written 5 pages of pro points essay, okay? Then maybe 2 to 3 pages I would have written, sometimes action is also important. For example, we have to transform our education system, we have to fight against caste-based discrimination or gender-based discrimination. These kind of things we have to take action. We should not leave it alone anta heli nanu illi barita idde. And then conclusion I would have written, sometimes you should take action, sometimes it should be left alone. Make sense? Next we have, again this is another slightly difficult concept that I would consider. Thought finds a world and creates one also. I have given a very, again this is one thing I would want to highlight here. ನೀವು essay ಏನೇ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು, whatever topic you pick, have a very wide interpretation of it. Okay? The minute I say thought finds a world, I'll start thinking about a particular human who's sitting and thinking. Correct? Correct? This is you thinking in a box. Break out of that box. Thought is what? Anything. It can be anything. It can be constitution, it can be democracy, it can be creativity, it can be thought that has created scientific interventions, anything. So, this is another exercise I want you to do. Look at a word, nim talega ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು think of different ways on how you can interpret the same word. You understand? This is an example. When I say thought, your mind will be thinking only about a person who's thinking. Correct? So you will think about maybe writers, maybe constitution makers, but that is still within the box. You can write maybe 5 pages on that. UPSC is going to give you 16 pages. You have to write at least 15 or 14 pages, right? So you have to take a very wide interpretation of whatever topic that is given to you. Okay? Okay. So in this particular essay, thought finds a world and creates one also. This, what do you think is the whole purpose of this question? What is the importance of this question? Okay. Okay, I definitely agree. This is a relatively difficult question. That's why I picked it up. See, I can come here and teach you all easy questions and make you feel like, oh, good to there. But this was a relatively difficult question, so I picked it up. Beautiful. You want?
Thinking capacity.
Thinking capacity. Thought, you want to think about thought as thinking capacity. Initiation is important. Okay, so you are talking about creating a work, creating the world also, right? Okay, initiation. So this particular essay, if you can take a wide interpretation, it will talk about how ideas will shape civilizations and cultures and institutions. Now ideas, again like I said, it can be democracy, it can be fraternity, justice, liberty, equality, all of these also you can add. Correct? Understood? So this is how you take something that's very abstract and bring it out to the ground in a way that, in a manner that you will understand. Make sense? Understood? Okay. So every skyscraper you know what a skyscraper is, right? I'm assuming everyone, okay, beautiful. Was once a sketch on paper. Every revolution was once a whisper. All revolutions were once thoughts in someone's head only, right? Correct? So here again, you can take different interpretations to it, and every scientific leap was once a fragile idea. Munche one putani idea itu, now it's become a whole world. Correct? That is what I'm trying to say here. Take a look at it, I'll give you 2 minutes. Ask me if there's any doubt. So here what I have done is I've taken an individual to international approach. Again, the reason I have taken these approaches is so that I can help you understand how to use the frameworks we saw in the first slide in different ways. Got it? Understood? Again, see, I want to talk a little bit about introduction and conclusion. Okay, we'll do that later. Just take a look at this and let me know if you have any doubt. So, individually, subconscious thought is shaping behavior. You all know how our own subconscious thought will shape our behavior. This is a very, very literal meaning of what this particular quotation is telling, correct? Individual level, you can even take for example Plato. How many of you know Plato? Okay, beautiful. So Plato was bent upon finding a world that does not exist, right? He wanted to find a world and he also created it. He created the world of political science, correct? So you can give maybe his example. Society and culturally, religion, philosophy, art, ivelladukku thoughts beku alva. Religion also came in from who? From what? From human thought only, correct? Thought created the world, thought made the world and then created also. Got it? Next you have social reform. This also was a thought in somebody's head, correct? Political perspective alli ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು? Cold War, right? Cold War is a great example because it was not just a world of ideologies, it was also creating the world consequently. Understood? Next you have international relations alli UN. Someone else gave UN example in a different context, right? So this is the beauty about essay paper. Nimige already most of the things ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, you just have to present it in a different format. Okay? Next, here I would counter where thoughts can also destroy worlds. Thought is creating a world, but thought is also destroying world. What created the dynamite? The thought of Nobel, correct? What created nuclear weapons? Thought, science experiments, correct? So sometimes thoughts can also destroy worlds. So here idr ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದು 2 pages ಬರಿತೀನಿ. Nuclear disarmament, all of these are in the news, correct? We all know about this nuclear disarmament, correct? So sometimes thought which is negative thought can also destroy worlds. That is what I am going to say when I want to challenge the question. Okay? Then I will conclude. I will also write about yadbhavam tadbhavati. Okay? This is again supportive. And then if a thought creates a world, then our task is what? It's not just to think, but to think positively. To think in such a way that we are creating good worlds. Correct? Not to have destructive thoughts. This is going to leave the evaluator thinking that you're a positive person. Understood? Examine every, so here in the conclusion you can write, we have to examine every thought we have so that we are creating worlds and not destroying them. Got it? Artha agtidya? Any doubts? Okay, this is one essay that I think I told you I would have picked this anta. I would request all of you to listen to this because this is unique, okay? I was very happy when I thought about this. I'm like, oh wow, exam alli idine, and definitely I would have written this anta. So, truth knows no color, okay? What is the general interpretation? We'll discuss that. There is no prejudice, alva? Satyakke, there is no prejudice. It doesn't care if someone's a male or a female. Truth is truth. Reality is reality. Truth doesn't care what your caste is, what your religion is, what your gender is, what your background is, correct? Truth has no prejudice, correct? Now when I was thinking how do I structure this essay, I thought I will take this in a literal sense of color, okay? And what I've done is I have associated white, say with purity, peace, innocence, okay? And maybe I'll write about social issues. How? White is purity, correct? Women are always expected to be pure, Sati Savitri and all of that, correct? But what is the real truth? That if women are expected to behave in a certain way, men are also expected to behave in a certain way. So the truth here knows no gender, correct? So here I am exploring different colors. So this will be my overall structure, okay? And I am exploring different ways how I can, so here I have taken different colors and I am exploring different subjects. For example, blue, for example, white. Now I have taken different subjects, society, science and tech, education. Idinella I am going to fit that into different colors, okay? So in the exam hall, when you are taking a look at the questions, if you have something like this that will strike your mind, okay, you should pick it. The only caveat is that you should have enough skill and enough practice to write a good essay, correct? Now this is slightly complex. It's very easy to mess this up, but if I have the skill and if I have the practice, then I can write a beautiful essay in this. Got it? How many people, I personally think not many people would think like this. Truth knows no color anta ankondi takshana, they would start writing maybe from some particular framework or about truth and about color, about prejudice, correct? ಈ ತರಫ್ with different colors, with different subjects ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯಾರು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿರಲ್ಲ. So similarly like this, if you have some thought in your own mind when you're writing the exam, where you feel like, oh, ಈ question ನಾನು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಬರೆಯೋಣ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ, very rarely other people also would think like this, then you should go for that question. Got it? So for instance, I have taken white as purity, peace and innocence, okay? You understood what I was trying to say? Women? Alva. Next to black, I have taken racism. Does truth know the color of your skin? No, right? So here I will explain in one paragraph, black stands for darkness and fear, and then I will also talk about racism and civil rights movement in one more paragraph. Got it? So in each question, if I had to really tell you how I would write, I would ask, is truth black? Does it stand for racism? Does it stand for fear? And then I would say no. Truth neither stands for racism nor does it stand for fear. What it stands for is equality. What it stands for is courage. Correct? So here, by saying truth knows no color, you are implying that truth has no color. Correct? So I am going to ask, is truth white? No, it's not white. Is truth black? No, it's not black. Is truth red? Because red represents what? Blood, passion, revolution, justice, liberty. I am going to relate all of that to red. Then I will say no, truth is not red. Correct? Then I will say, is truth green? Because what is the reality? That somebody else is polluting and then somebody else is paying for the pollution. Correct? Least developed countries are the most affected by natural disasters that are happening due to climate change. Correct? Can we close our eyes for it? No. So that's how I am going to say truth is not green. Similarly, truth is not blue, brown, gold. Truth does not know wealth. Truth does not know poverty. Okay? So that's how I would write this question. Now if when you are in the exam hall, you get some brilliant idea like this, take it and write it. The only prayer you should have is that you have the skill to actually write it in a nice way. That skill you have to develop. Or that I want to take, then I will leave it open for questions. Feel free to ask me whatever you want to ask, okay? So, see, one of the reasons I have attempted these essays is so that you guys can directly copy paste from here to your own essays, okay? This is one thing that I used to do. I used to take a look at toppers' essays. Adral nanige enadru ishta agiradidre, I would put that into my own essay corner, into my own essay notes, okay? So something like this if you want to take, right? When truth walks into the room, colors fade. This you can use in many different ways, right? When something happens, something fades. Understood? When justice walks into the room, casteism fades. You can make up different types of sentences with just this one example, right? So, ee tara examples vandashtu collect ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. You can just sprinkle it around in your essays randomly. Get it? Huh? So and then one more thing I wanted to highlight about a conclusion is, see, I don't have enough time to start taking class on particularly introduction, conclusion and all of that. So I've tried my best to inculcate everything here only. So one of the reasons I've put this conclusion here is sometimes what you can do is Your conclusion can be in different ways. One is it can tie back to the anecdote. For example, you start the essay with Gandhi. In conclusion, therefore, as Gandhi said, Anta, if you bring it back, it will feel like a complete loop. Okay, this is another way of conclusion where you sort of summarize everything that you've written, but in a very different way. So for example, I've taken a note of different colors that I've used and I've written my conclusion like this here. This is something that you can do. When I say summary, I don't mean therefore this as and this and that. Sumne direct ag bariyadakinta. Something like this if you write, it will be more engaging. Okay? Makes sense? Okay. So as I was saying, when I was writing my own essay, there was one question, I should have googled it in this gap, I didn't. There was an essay that spoke about women being burdened down with restrictions and boys, not women, girls. So the question was, girls are burdened with restrictions and boys with demands. Okay? So the question was saying, burden is on both girls as well as boys. When I saw that question, I knew that what happens when you're preparing for UPSC, right? You'll have a few prejudices. Maybe you would have picked up a few things. For example, most people who attempt UPSC, they are all fans of Gandhi or his ideologies and feminists. This is like an internal joke of sorts, right? Because a lot of content on women is given to us. But was that what the question was asking? The question was asking both about girls and boys. I knew the minute I saw this question that a lot of people in the hurry of the exam would have only written about girls. In fact, when we took this question up in the class and I discussed, like initially I discussed 2-3 questions where you gave me the answers. The answers that I got also were mostly girl oriented. Women are facing this problem, that problem, this problem, anta heli. Okay? But the question was also asking about boys. So when I saw this question, I knew most people would write about girls only because that is what we have studied. Correct? But that is not what the question was asking. So I knew that if I write both about girls and boys, I would get more marks. Okay? This is how you can show presence of mind within the exam hall. So when you're reading the topics, if you have something that you have noticed, that you know a lot of other people will not notice, maybe that's a good question to write. Okay? Given that your interpretation is correct. Neeve tap artha madkondu tap barde, you will not obviously get marks. Okay? So your interpretation has to be correct. Okay? And so this is one of the ways in which you write. How I started it was, I gave the example of Birju Maharaj. He is a very famous dancer. He is known to most people in the older generation who is going to correct my paper. So I knew writing about something that they will know about will give me more marks. This is how you play smart. Okay? You know who your audience is. So tailor your content to your audience. Got it? So I wrote in my introduction about a man who is a dancer who is facing demands from his family. And I created like a marketplace of sorts. I said one end of the road Birju Maharaj was walking and people were mocking him because he was dancing, a man dancing, right? It's a prejudice. On the other end, Mary Kom was walking with her 3 children and people were mocking her also. Why? Because she was into sports instead of taking care of her children and being a mother. So here, what did I do? I addressed the question, correct? With a real example. And I've addressed both men and women or both boys and girls. This is something that many people wouldn't have done. So that gave me a few brownie points. Understood? So this is how you start getting brownie points over your competitors. At the end of the day, this is a competitive exam. Correct? You have to race ahead. That is how you will get into the list. Okay? So this is what I did. Apart from this, a few general things I want to talk about. I cleared in my second attempt. In my first attempt, I was in my final year when I was preparing for it. My convocation was in May and my prelims was in June. So I didn't have much time. Basically what I mean to say is I didn't prepare in my first attempt. I actually started preparing in my second attempt only. Okay, so I had very little time. One thing that really helped me was toppers. Okay, I didn't have Telegram before that. I made a Telegram account. I started following a few toppers that I personally felt like I could relate to. Maybe one person was also from a computer science engineering background, so I could relate to that person, right? One or two toppers who are from PSIR background. So what I would do is I would take their notes, I would take their answer copies, Okay, and then I would take a look at them. In fact, some of my notes I didn't make them. I took toppers notes directly and I edited them to make it my notes. Okay, so this is one thing I would definitely suggest. Take a look at few topper essays, see how they are writing. Okay, if you get tired, somehow you are not able to finish an essay, you will know that you are also writing shitty essays. The evaluator is not able to read your essays also. You understand? So take a look at toppers notes and then start attempting your own essays, because unless you make your own mistakes, it's very difficult to learn in this particular subject. It's very easy to ignore essay. In fact, I had also done it, but if you don't have any writing background previously, writing essay would be very, very difficult. Okay, so what happens in essays, if you have a writing background, you are used to writing very elaboratively, correct? You will cross your enough marks for essay. It's very difficult, you have to learn to write short. If you don't have writing basics or writing background, then to fill 15 pages with quality content will become difficult. Okay, keep in mind, don't repeat the same things again and again. But what you should more importantly keep in mind is whatever you are writing, right? For example, here I am going to constantly talk about truth here. Once again I am starting early in, once again, if I talk about truth and then I continue writing essay in my own way, the examiner will not understand where I am talking about truth, no color in between all of this. Okay, so you should always keep in mind, especially if it's a metaphor based essay, you should always keep in mind to bring back whatever keyword is there, right? Whatever keyword is there, in every other paragraph try to bring it back. In your examples, try to show the examiner, this is my truth. Or for example, we did the journey and destination, right? So when you're writing about economy, don't just write economy, equality, equal growth, beku, K-shaped recovery, beda anta. No. Write how your GDP is a destination and how equal growth for everyone is a journey. You should mention the keywords in your essay so that the evaluator can clearly see what you've written and understand what you've written. Make sense? In fact, I would suggest that if possible, once or maximum 2 times bring back. Therefore, this is how we can see that truth knows no color anta heli. Bring back the original quotation itself so that the examiner knows that you are writing relevant points to the topic that is given. Okay, always keep in mind, repeat the keywords or synonyms, antonyms of those keywords, right? So truth, reality, these kind of words you should use in your essay. This is where newspaper reading will come into play. You will understand what are synonyms, again, newspaper reading will help you in many different ways. This is basically like writing an editorial, right? An essay, correct? So something like that. So remember, write synonyms, antonyms of these words and mention these keywords between your essays. Tell the examiner what you mean by journey. Tell the examiner what you mean by destination. Make sense? Understood? Okay. Okay, this is very, very, very important. If I tell you, you will not understand, but when you start reading someone's essay, you will understand. Ononsari somebody what they'll do is they'll start writing about women issues, then they'll start writing about science and technology, correct? Then they'll remember something about women and then they'll come back to women issues. Okay, this will happen. This is a very real thing that would happen with me. It will happen with you also. Okay, remember not to make these kind of mistakes. This will show a lack of clarity of thought. How do you prevent this? By better structure. Remember that one page we wrote, introduction, conclusion and structure. That is your holy grail. Okay, so adilla andre ನೀವು ಈ ತರ ತಪ್ಪೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸರಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, once you would have written about Gandhi, in maybe the second paragraph, you will talk about how Gandhi managed his anger in Chauri Chaura or whatever. And then you will come down. Again you feel like you want to write something else, you want to write about Gandhi again. That is basically repetition, right? What does it show me as an evaluator? It will tell me that you don't have enough content. But is that possible? That you study for UPSC and you don't have enough content to write some 5-10 pages? It's impossible. So I know that you are not having clarity of thought or flow of concepts. Now flow of concepts, I want to tell you with a little bit of depth. Flow is something that we worked in class for quite some time. It's very important. See, there are two types of flow. One is internal flow and one is external flow. Okay? External flow andre connectors use madadu. Now we are going to explore this and this. Therefore, this is what is going to happen. Let us look at something else. Now that we have seen societal issues, let us look at political issues. Correct? These are all external connectors that you can use. Okay? There is an internal connection that you can create in your own essay. For example, ನೀವು PESTLE approach ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ, we had discussed this in class for instance, we'll take PESTLE approach. I want to talk about society, okay, and then I want to talk about economy, okay. Society nalli, let us say I want to talk about child issues, then women issues, then caste system, okay. Economy nalli, I want to talk about employment and GDP, okay. How do I make an internal connect in my framework is women issues na ನಾನು last ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ. I will first write about caste, then I will write about children, then after children women will come. Women are anyway facing employment issues, right? Correct? After writing about women, I will write about employment issues and then I will connect employment in economy part. Make sense? Now from employment I can go to GDP. There is natural flow. It's better to write employment after women than write employment after caste. Correct? There are some topics that, this is another exercise I want you to do. Natural flow your topics ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ do some brainstorming. Okay? For example, growth and environment. ಇವೆರಡನ್ನೂ sustainable growth will connect it. Correct? Technology. Correct? So growth can be what? Economic also, scientific also. Science and technology athwa economy inda I am flowing to environment. This can be my connector. Sustainable growth. Understood? So there are some natural flow irunta topics. Figure out which those topics are. Okay? Use them for an internal flow. Understood? So this is how you maintain the flow of concepts. Otherwise there are external connectors. You can use prepositions, you can use connectors directly in your essay. However, therefore, henceforth we will see about science and technology. Okay? Something like that. So those are some of the things. Next, especially for those of you who are like attending an essay class for the first time, this might look like, oh, this is all very complex. But you should understand that this is your first class. Let us say I want to learn swimming, I'll go fall in the water, I'll feel like it's absolutely impossible to swim. Correct? It's going to take some time and some practice, and maybe I'll be able to float and then swim at some particular point of time. Same thing is going to happen here. You will find that it is a little difficult. Correct? It could also be intimidating. Writing 15 pages would scare me also. It would scare anyone in fact. Correct? And that's okay. It's going to scare you, it's going to scare everyone else. So we'll all sync together. That's fine. Simple yet diverse view on topics. This is very important, and again here structure and frameworks will come into place. Okay? You can't write an essay only on history. You can't write an essay only on technology or governance or polity. You have to have diversity. Correct? If I come here in the class and take a 5 hours class on only history, most of you will leave and not come back during the break. Correct? It's not because history is a bad subject, it's because eating the same food again and again is going to be boring for anyone, no matter how good the food is. Same thing is going to happen here also. Writing about one particular topic for more than 2 paragraphs is a red flag. Just remember that. Okay? Maximum 3 paragraphs if you have something really interesting, something really nice to write about. 3 paragraphs aadmele, it's very difficult to concentrate for anyone who's reading. Okay? Just remember. Stand out but not in an extreme manner. When I said, okay, if you can think of something unique, you should write it, I don't mean start writing most extreme, random, radical things. Okay? You are writing this exam to be a bureaucrat. Correct? You should remember that, and you should have a sense of responsibility. You should have a sense of middle ground. Correct? You should be grounded. So these are some of the things that I wanted to talk about. I've spoken about, yeah. Any doubt on this? We have already discussed this. These are just basic. one thing that I want to tell you, in fact I was talking to some of you here, some of you are hesitant of asking questions here. You all are writing the exam to be officers. You are going to talk to people on a daily basis, whether or not you like it, okay? So it's better to be active and be as vocal as possible here, correct? If you go wrong, it's okay, you can fail here, but you can't fail citizens of the country, correct? So one thing that I've probably learned from my PSIR knowledge only, be bold as a lion and smart as a fox. Very, very important for this exam. When you're writing prelims, be bold as a lion, smart as a fox. When you're writing mains, be bold as a lion, smart as a fox. Have an opinion, but let that opinion be a smart one. Okay, subject to change. You can write your opinions also in the essay paper respectfully, okay? But don't write extreme, radical or anything that's completely wrong. Okay, another general suggestion is don't write anything that will show your background to the evaluator, right? Maybe some of you will write OM on top of the paper, or I don't know, it's just one example, it could be anything, right? Maybe that is a practice that you have. If you do have such practices, stay away from them, correct? UPSC is not going to reward that, okay? This is what I had to tell. If you guys are interested, I would love to take some questions. Otherwise, if you want me to discuss any other topic that maybe you took a look at in the question paper 2025 only, one of the essay topics that I haven't discussed. See, I could discuss all 8 topics, but most of you would be sleeping by the end of it. So I've discussed maybe 4 or 5. I've told you what I wanted to tell you. You've understood, you have some idea about introduction right now, Allah. Some idea about conclusion, some idea about how to make your framework. Understood? So we've worked maybe five questions from this year. If you want me to take a look at any other question, you let me know. But apart from that, I'm open to questions now. Okay. So essay ge ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಕೊಡಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು, okay? But because you're writing UPSC, facts ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. You have to be grounded, that is for sure. While you're staying grounded, if you want to build a story, sure, you can do that. But full essay, like for example, ರಾಮು ರಾಜು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ full essay ಬರೆಯೋದು ಬೇಡ. I wouldn't suggest that, because again an essay is a reflection of your policy document, right? So you can start with an anecdote. Okay, I'll come down to introductions, different forms of introductions. I'll just tell you, see how do you introduce a topic. Number 1, you'll explain what the topic is directly. Nimige ಏನು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ from that particular topic, you will start explaining that. Number 2, maybe you have a relevant quotation. So you're going to take that particular quotation and you will explain the essay topic from that particular quotation. Number 3, maybe you have an anecdote or you have real life examples like I did. I had an example of Birju Maharaja and Mary Kom. You can have an example of any other cricketer, any other basketball player, any other hockey player, for instance. Alva, you can give anecdotes or examples, or you can build a story. Building a completely new story and suggest Madala, you can do that. You can definitely do that, but you already have enough real life examples. Malala Yousafzai, you have a lot of inspirational people. Starting with inspirational people is a great idea, correct? So you can definitely do that. But apart from that, one more way that you can introduce is maybe collecting poems or you know, shairis, things like that. If you are interested, you can do. Again, it will show what your interest level is, alva. That is how you can introduce. But you can take up a story in the introduction, come back to the story in conclusion, but your entire essay cannot be a story. See, GS papers ಎಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಹೆಂಗಿದ್ರು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ವೈಸ್ ಬರಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ. See, the reason we have kept all of these frameworks is, first of all, ನಿಮಗೆ GS questions ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ನ ನಾವು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ 4-5 pages. ನಮಗೆ 4-5 pages ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ಟೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, correct? So you have a lot of content that you have to write in a very short way. What are you going to write? You're going to write in pointers. Understood? Now in an essay, you have 15 pages. 15 pages ನೀವು ಬರೀ ಪಾಯಿಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಿಸ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So the preferred method of writing an essay is that you use paragraphs. preferably. But if you want to make a few pointers, for example, there are many ways of, there are many health-based schemes anta itkolli. You want to write a few pointers, allal baribodu ashte. But generally, paragraphs are preferable. Preparation, your subject ige. Okay. See, this is a very subjective question. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಥರದವರು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಥರ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿ ಐಡಿಯಾ ದಟ್ ನಾನು ಬರ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಅರ್ಥನೇ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದೋಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ನಾನು ಪರ್ಸ್ನಲಿ ಯಾವ ಥರ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಐ ವುಡ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಸ್ಕೆಲಿಟನ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಅ 1-pager ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಕ್ರೊನಾಲಜಿ ಆಫ್ ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಆ ಪೇಜ್ ನೋಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಯಾವ ಕಿಂಗ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಯಾರು ಬಂದರು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಯಾರು ಬಂದರು ಅಂತ ಐ ವುಡ್ ನೋ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಬೈ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲಿ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್. ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಅ 1-pager ಅಬೌಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಲೆಜಿಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರೈಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್, ವಾಟರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದೋಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಅ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ 1 page. ಸೊ ನನಗೇನು ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತಿತ್ತಂದರೆ ಮೈ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಶುಡ್ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಟು ಮೈ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್, ರೈಟ್. Now, if I start making notes out of Spectrum in the first or second reading, I am going to publish a Spectrum 2.0 in my handwriting. Because the book itself is very concise. Correct? First 2 readings, it's very difficult to understand in Spectrum what's important, what's not important. In fact, first 2 readings, even Lakshmikant is difficult to make notes out of. You will feel like everything is important. Correct? So, ideally, the note making procedure should be, number 1 rule, if you cannot read a book 3 times, don't pick it. Don't pick up books. Okay, if you choose to make a book as your resource for any particular subject, read it at least 3 to 4 times comfortably. Adadmele I would suggest you start making notes. Okay, the way that I used to do it is, first time sumne odkondu hogtidde the entire book cover to cover. Second time I would take a pencil and underline important things that I felt are important. And again, between all of these readings, maybe I am giving mocks. Maybe someone tells me, okay, this topic is important. I am analyzing PYQs. So, nani yen important alla anta, it's a whole ecosystem in your brain, right? You are reading the book once. By the time you read it, second time you will have a discussion with your friend about some PYQs. For example, ancient history. Someone was asking about it. Vijayanagara kingdom. I know that it's important. So, second time oduvaga nanu yen martini, I'll give more focus to Vijayanagara kingdom. Correct? And I'll underline more in that part. Next, third reading, I'll take a pen or something. Fourth reading, I'll take a highlighter. After I've completed 4 readings, I know what is important and what is not. And I know what my strong areas are and I know what my weak areas are. Correct? After that, I'll make notes. So, my notes at the end of the day is not a copy-paste of the book. My notes will actually supplement how my brain will work. Got it? So, this is how I would prefer to make notes, but again it's very subjective. There are some people who will make their entire very elaborative notes. If you want to do that, it's up to you. This exam is for everyone. No matter what kind of a person you are, you can clear it. Point is that you have to work hard and work smart. Okay? He raised his hand first. We'll come back to you. Okay?
Ma'am, in philosophical essays, they tell that you can add your personal life experience as examples. Like how good it is to add in essays?
Personal life experience andre hege? Give me an example.
Now, suppose we saw essay telling that stagnant water. About that.
You saw
muddy water. Leaving it alone is better. So, suppose if we add something related to our life, some experience, will it fetch marks?
See, I wouldn't suggest you to write the essay in first person perspective. Andre naan hing maade, naan hing nodde anta heli bariyodu, I wouldn't suggest it. But if you want to write, some people will see this and this in your personal life. So maybe you learnt an important lesson in your personal life that you can write in the essay. Obviously, if it's relevant to the essay topic, you can definitely write. But I wouldn't suggest you to write it in first person perspective. Write it in third person's perspective and write it in formal English. And I think you should be good.
Ma'am, also since it is September, by December we should be completing our mains and optional. During this time, should we focus on prelims or should we keep prelims aside and focus on mains?
Okay. When you say should we focus on prelims, what do you mean? See, the way that I see this is, by December, I should have covered all of my subjects 2-3 times along with ethics, essay and optional. Correct? what do you mean by prelims based preparation? That is my question.
Ma'am, prelims preparation is that we completely focus on prelims from January to May, right?
Yes.
So right now we have to mainly focus on our optionals and essay writing and our answer writing.
Yes.
So
if your question is can you ignore like say polity, economy and all, no, absolutely not. You have to read these because they are going to come for mains also. So why people say till December mains based preparation irbekandre book odad onde. The book you have to study whether you are studying it for prelims or mains. You have to know the content of the book. Now for prelims what happens is in the last few days, in prelims you will say from January, February, you start taking mocks. Along with those mocks maybe you start practicing let us say all the books and authors. That is prelims based preparation. Ancient history, I'm again because I took it, I'm giving you an example. Ancient history really you have a lot of authors, you have a lot of coins like Nishka, all of those, right? Silver, Tanka, when did Tanka come, when did Nishka, all of these years, all of these terms, adnella nav ivaglinde kaltruno, you will not remember it, right? Like maybe 7-8 months later. So the reason people say shift to prelims mode is you start memorizing all of those little details, but concepts you should have finished by December. Whatever concept you have to study in whatever subjects and whatever books, you should have cleared it off by December. What you are going to do from January is start memorizing things. Whatever you have to remember, like for example, you have to remember all national parks and biodiversity hotspots. I think there are 12 or something. You have to remember all of them, right? And you should remember which lake or which river passes through which one of them, which state covers which particular national park, all of that. Adnella nav ivaglindle odidre you cannot remember it after 7-8 months, right? So why people say prelims based preparation after January is January, February, these kind of things you will start remembering. These kind of things you will start memorizing. Okay? But conceptually you have to be sorted by December in all subjects.
Ma'am, my question is regarding my optional subject. My optional subject is philosophy. Philosophy always deals with the static topics, and when I know the concept, if Plato's theory of ideas, I know the whole concept, I know the full ideas, I know the arguments of Socrates and others, but after seeing 2 to 3 questions from the same concept, I know the ideas and I know the concept really well, but I couldn't able to present it in a different approaches.
Okay. So this is mostly a optional based out, right? Okay. So what happens in optional is, I think even this time PubAd, I think there was a lot of questions on good governance or something. That's what I heard. But anyway, what happens in optional is you're dealing at a very deep level with simple concepts also, right? So number one is you should have good quality content. What I mean by that is have a lot of keywords, have a lot of thinkers, have a lot of examples, correct? Number two, tailor your answer to the particular question. Even if they've given you 3 questions on the same topic, they will not give you the same exact question, right? So how you will relate that particular topic to that particular question is going to differ. And in that context, what examples you will give from real life, that is also going to change, correct? Because they cannot ask the same question 3 times. There has to be some kind of difference in the way they form the question. So whatever keywords are going to make the difference, right? You have one keyword in the 3 different questions. There are other keywords in the question, right? So focus on how this particular keyword is affecting the second keyword. Understood? That will help you deal better. But apart from that, you should have good quality content for optional in general. Even if they give you similar topic to 2-3 questions, you should approach all of them differently with different set of keywords. Generally, your optional preparation should be that good. Also, if I'm answering your question and if you don't feel like, okay, I answered your question, I want you to say, no ma'am, I don't think you understood my question, or I don't think I understood what you were trying to say. You ask me again if you don't understand, okay?
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾಗ ಒಂದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಲ್ವಾ, ಅದು ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಡ್ಯೂರೇಷನ್ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್?
Slightly geeky side of me is going to come out. Ideally speaking, basically I used to do some research, okay, psychological. The best way to remember things is by doing active recall and spaced revision, okay? So active recall is how you study, spaced revision is what you study when, okay? Active recall andre enu, ivaga nanu ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ conventional method of studying is I have a book, I read, I am putting information into my brain. That is the exercise I am doing, correct? If I keep doing this and strengthen one particular finger or one particular movement, opposite movement is going to be difficult. Correct? If I have to train both set of movements. Similarly, from my brain, what happens in conventional method of studying is, I'm only inputting information into brain. Active recall means you should sit and actively recall. Recall and you're putting out information from the brain. So when you sit down to revise, the ideal method of revising would be you sit down and write a concept, say for example preamble. Okay, and instead of going back to Lakshmikant, I'm going to sit here and think of what are the important aspects of preamble. Okay, so I'm going to write about justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, and I'm going to write what was the date, 29th. So I'm not going to read Lakshmikant this time. I'm going to sit down and write down what are the different aspects. Same thing with ancient history. I'm going to think of, okay, Haryanka, Shishunaga, Nanda, Maurya. This is the order of dynasties. So I'm not reading NCERT again. You're getting? I'm trying to recall what I've already read before. This is the most efficient way of remembering things. Okay? That I close my eyes and without using any source, I try to recall whatever I've already read. The problem with us is, it's very convenient, right, to sit in front of a book and think we are reading. Even if your mind is somewhere else. Active recall is going to prevent that. Okay? Spaced revision is, this was your question basically. I'm sorry I kind of diverged from the question. But I feel like this could be useful. It was useful for me. So ideally revision schedule should be 1 day, 3 days, 7 days and then multiple of 7, 14 days, 21 days, whatever. Okay, ideally speaking. I would suggest you ನಿಮಗೆ practically ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೋ ಇದನ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಷ್ಟು ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ. What I would personally do is, at least 3 times I had to read any book alva. So today I would read it, 3 days later I would have in my, so in my schedule, say for example, I would study 12-14 hours a day when I was in the peak of my preparation. Okay, I didn't start there, so it's okay, but peak of my preparation 14, ideally I would study like maybe 14 hours a day. So na ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ, 2 hours sessions ಇಟ್ಕೊಂತಿದ್ದೆ, 2 hours for 2 GS subjects. One is technical, one is content heavy, like say polity and science and tech I'm reading. Okay, one more 2 hour session for current affairs, one 2 hour session for optional, one more 2 hour session for optional. Okay, then I would give 2 to 4 hours for revision. Okay, so ಈ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ I used to revise 3 days ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು ಇದೇನೇನು ಓದಿದ್ನೋ. The easier way to track this is Google Sheets. I would have a Google Sheet and I would have like a 2-week plan. Okay, so nan for example ivattu 2 hours alli nanu 40 pages of spectrum ಓದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಇವತ್ತು. ನಾಡಿದ್ದು ಅದೇ 40 pages ನಾನು ಮೇ ಬಿ 1 hour ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಾನು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಓದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಂಗೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇಗ ಓದ್ಬೋದು, 1.5 hours ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ಬೋದು ನಾನು. ಅದನ್ನ 2-3 days later ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಿದ್ದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಸ್ಕೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ ಇರ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಟುಡೇ 40 pages, tomorrow 80 pages, ಡೇ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ tomorrow 120 pages, so on. ಇಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಿತ್ತು 40 pages, 80 pages, 120 pages, so on. Okay, so and in the weekend I would just flip through the pages. But the beauty of UPSC is, one information will not come to you only from one particular source. Correct? You are giving mocks, you read something related to the topic. You are maybe doing some current affairs topic, you will read something related to the topic. So there are multiple ways of how you will revise and how input will come into your brain. So that's one more thing that you don't have to worry about, but this is ideal. This is the ideal way of doing it. Thank you so much for giving me your precious time, 3 hours. I didn't see many sleeping people. I'm very, very grateful that you all didn't sleep. I didn't expect. I hope it was useful. I hope the session was somewhere useful. Oh wow, okay, I'm happy. Okay, thank you so much again. Thank you to Rajkumar Academy for having me. I hope to see you all on the other side, probably as my juniors in service. All the very best to all of you. Take care and thank you.